This video is sponsored by Skillshare. You probably spent a fortune on gifts on New Year Eve, especially when a week before that it was Christmas. How do I know that? Well, Americans on average spend $1,000 on gifts, goodies, and travel. That might not look like a fortune, but when you look at the other data that says that 60% of Americans can't cover an unexpected $1,000 bill, it gets sad because emergencies happen and they're full of surprises. It might be unexpected doctor visit, your car breaks down, or something else that could prevent you from leading your normal life. There is nothing wrong about buying gifts and having fun, but when our holiday spendings keep going up year after year while we stop saving and getting into debt more and more, it starts getting scary. So here in this video, we're going to take a look at where exactly your money should go once you get paid. What steps should you take once you receive that paycheck so that when you're faced with that unexpected $1,000 bill again, you don't have to get into debt, because you've been planning your cash flow pretty well. The first thing you should be doing is to have a list of your necessities. What are the things you literally can't live without? Your house, groceries, transport. Whether you like it or not, you have to pay your bills every month, otherwise you will end up in the streets. But here's the problem. A lot of people can't differentiate between their needs and wants. Your Starbucks coffee might be important, but it's definitely not a need, but rather a want. The reason why this is important is that a lot of people complain that their income is not enough. That's why they're living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not gonna argue against that. You're probably underpaid, maybe not, but that doesn't mean you can't manage your cash a bit more effectively at least. Especially if you want to get out of this desperate financial position, you definitely need to be a bit more responsible with your paycheck. Denying yourself some of the pleasures might be difficult, but at least you know that you aren't going to go broke soon. You don't have to spend every penny in your pocket to make it till the next of the month. Once you're done with that, you should start building your emergency fund. A lot of people would say that you should have at least $1,000 or maybe even a few $1,000s in case if things go south. And they have a point, that makes sense. But I don't really like complicating things. Your emergency fund should be your savings fund as well. Before you throw your comments, let me explain why. Here is how it's supposed to work. Once you're done with the first step, you should have a clear idea of how much exactly you need to live decently a month. Take that amount and multiply it by 6. That's your number. That's how much your emergency fund should have at any point. Of course, you can't build that fund in a month or two. It might take you an entire year to do that, if not longer. There isn't an exact percentage of your income you should allocate to that, because it will highly depend on your income. If you're hardly making enough money till the end of the month, you might consider a small percentage. If you're making much more than you possibly need, then you probably will build your emergency fund much faster. Maybe you should not be having an emergency fund at all because you're hardly making ends meet. What's the point of saving money when you barely pay your rent? In this case, you should forget about this fund and focus on increasing your income first. It might not be easy, but there are plenty of ways to do that. When you have multiple accounts to save money, it starts consuming a lot of time, which means you probably won't stick to it. You will do it once or maybe twice, and then you're going to forget about it. That's why I do my best to simplify everything as much as possible. And secondly, there is no point in saving a lot of money. You gotta do something with that money to keep it growing. But let's not get ahead of us, we'll talk about that in a moment. Now, let's move to my favorite part, entertainment. This is the part where you initially plan to spend the least amount of money, but then your entertainment spendings exceed your rent bill. Come on, let's be honest about it. How many times did it happen? Probably every single time. No matter how disciplined you think you are going to be, most of you won't be able to spend the entire month without spending on entertainment. It's just part of our life. Hanging out with friends, going to a bar at night, or going for a movie with your homies is just part of modern life. Just a little advice, never ever go into debt for entertainment. No matter how badly you want that, borrowing money to have fun is the dumbest financial decision you will ever make. You can somehow justify your student debt, mortgage, rent, or any other necessity, but not entertainment. so for God's sake, do not disappoint me. Let's try to be a little bit more specific. What do we mean with entertainment? I consider entertainment everything else that's not considered as a necessity. That Starbucks coffee, casual eating out with friends, that new hoodie you bought but you don't really need. Of course, you can't break down your spending habits into little small parts and micromanage it. From my experience, micromanagement doesn't really help unless you're a real nerd. After a few days or maybe even a week, you will just dump your plan and start spending randomly. So do not underestimate your entertainment spendings and set a realistic amount. Finally, invest the rest. Many of you might disagree with me because I'm not making investing as the first priority. You might think it should be on the top of the list. And I'm not gonna disagree with you, you have a good point. But from my experience, I would say, what's the point of investing when you barely cover your necessities? Talking about investing is a lot different than actually putting your money at stake. You invest only when you make enough money after covering your basic bills at least. But enough doesn't mean millions of dollars, not even hundreds of thousands. Once you start making a little bit more than you need to make ends meet and you have some basic savings, you can consider investing. Of course, that might mean working harder or getting a second job or maybe hustling on the side. It's going to be different for everybody, but that's probably the only way. What I would say is focus on building the emergency fund first, because when you invest your money, it's not always easy to quickly liquidate it in case if things go south. Of course, it depends on the nature of your investment, but you don't want to pull out at the wrong time and make a loss when you were intending to grow your money in the first place. Isn't that the purpose of investing? However, I would always say redefine your why before you even spend a single penny out of your paycheck. The payday should be the day when you shouldn't be bothering yourself with all of this nonsense. But if you do not revisit your purpose of saving money or leaving some cash on side to invest, you're going to procrastinate and eventually would do it when it's too late already. It's easy to blow your money up at the beginning of the month once you're paid, since you've been waiting for this moment for weeks already. It's supposed to be the first thing you should be doing when you're paid, because it's really difficult to put aside some of your cash when you don't have a clear why in your mind. However, investing isn't like throw your money here and there and boom, your money is growing like a tree. It's a bit more complicated than that. Let's take an example of the stock market. From outside, it looks like a world filled with complicated charts, but each of these charts represents something. I would love to talk about that, but this video has to unfortunately end here. But that doesn't mean you aren't going to learn more about the stock market, because this class on Skillshare is going to teach you all the basics of the stock market in a simple and animated way. What is a stock? What is a broker? What's an index fund? Why do companies go public in the first place? And a lot of other cool things. I have taken the entire class a while ago, and I can confidently tell you that it's worth your time. Over 24,000 people have taken this class, so should you. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including illustration, design, photography, video, freelancing, and more. Make 2020 a year where you explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity with Skillshare's online classes. What you find just might surprise you and inspire you. In fact, if you want to make animated videos such as this, there are plenty of classes that can teach you that, including this class by In a Nutshell. Click the link in the description to get 2 free months of premium membership and explore your creativity. If you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and make sure you hit that subscribe button and of course the bell besides it if you don't want to miss the next video. Thanks guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.